You're welcome back from that quick timeout. It's still daybreak here on Trust Television, and it's time for us to look at stories that made it to the front pages of our newspapers this morning. Starting off with Daily Trust, we have boldly there in front, Borno attack. Many soldiers missing as death toll rises. There's a picture there showing the aftermath of the attack on a military base at Damboa, Borno State on Saturday. Still on insecurity there on Daily Trust, Abuja school bombing case of international interest, says the police. Now, we saw a lot of back and forth on the story. Initially, they said it was few students that were killed, 2 thereabout. And then later in the day, yesterday, we saw a story saying that there were also police officers involved or security officers involved, in the attack, as they were also affected. But here it is saying it's now a case of international interest from the police. You would find that story on page 20 on the Daily Trust newspaper. Still there, NFF appoints Marlian Shelley as Super Eagles coach. You find that on page 39. Atiku's men, Erifai Al-Mustafa and others meet SDP leaders on page 13. And insurgency, Macron under attacks for saying Africa forgot to say thank you. You would find that on page 31. Now, if you're interested in any of the stories, do also grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper to keep yourself informed this morning.
Moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning, it is leading with stories on terrorism, bandit influx, task force beats as Amotekun police tighten southwest boundaries. Oyo security chief holds closed-door meetings in Ibadan, Ondo, Osun, and others review strategies. You'll find pictures there of the new Ghanaian president, John Mahama, there with our own president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in Accra yesterday at the swearing-in. We also have other dignitaries, including our own former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and of course, President Goodluck Jonathan. To other stories, threats to live Atiku, LP carpets Tinubu, APC lampoons Obi. Forest allocation for fuel import rises to $1.25 billion. Tax reform, Northern Elders, governors maintain opposition as senators lobby. Tinubu calls for Africa's unity. Obasanjo Zuma attend Mahama's inauguration. PDP defies as Okpebolo accuses local government chairman of 12 billion diversion. Romance scam, 2 US-based Nigerians face 40-year jail term. And Stampede, Oni's ex-queen orders allege illegal detention. Oyo opposes bail. Those are the 2 papers that we'll be looking at this morning. We don't have joining us online to take a look at these papers deeper, Mr. Ben Sharma, who is the former director of News Voice of Nigeria. Good morning, Mr. Ben.
From someone who has disappeared. Let us smile.
Okay. This disappearing act.
Thank you for having smiling. Happy New Year.
Cap on.
Yeah.
I don't know where you are taking us this morning, but I hope we are.
And I am.
It's a pleasure.
I don't know whether you are trying to wear my dress or I'm trying to wear your dress.
All right. Interesting.
But I've gone to Benue today.
There. Quickly to delve into the stories. The Daily Trust was staying with the stories of the attack in Borno and the case of our missing soldiers and all of that around that report. What's your impression since that story broke, with regards to this resurgence of this attack, the comments around how drones were deployed, the coordination, the sophistication of this attack, and what appears to be a seeming silence, from our security forces?
Yeah, you see, my first reaction when I heard about the story was to just wish the army and security operatives well. But the headlines as they are now, I think there are times headlines tend to, the insurgency will just look at that and say, oh, it's like they are making progress. Because usually they'll fit on headlines that tend to glorify them. For example, there's no commander, no army chief, or even the president or whoever, a Nigerian, who will actually say, oh, thank God the military is at the receiving end. No. But you see, in writing this, I think there is also the need to also exercise some caution on the side of social responsibility theory of the media, because usually such headlines tend to be like the oxygen the insurgency will need. Unintentionally, you cast the headline, you just see that it favors the insurgency more. But having said that, I think that we should also um, uh, get a reaction from the military to balance up the story.
Just so before we move away from this, given that you are also a veteran in this profession, um, you know what dilemma, lies in sometimes just allowing this report to slide. These lives that were lost are not some strange life. They are Nigerians. They are from individual homes, which makes it even more painful because they have taken up to defend us, to be awake while they are sleeping. So where do we balance the act of, waking up those in authorities to make sure that they do things that protects soldiers, to make sure that we do not, entertain anything, that would help us, that would enable us to record this level of casualty, and then get the military high command to act. How do we strike a chord between reporting that and holding them accountable, in that front, while also not coming off in a way that sort of help to glorify this? And we can't cover this kind of mass killings inevitably, but how do we strike that chord?
Yeah, you see, nobody is saying that the story should be swept under carpet. But let me give you an example. During June 12, when it was cancelled, suddenly I was the editor on duty. And I got a phone call from Dodan Barracks. Hey, put this story. June 12 has been annulled. I mean, it had not come officially. And I asked, who is talking? He said, Irabo. Which Irabo? He just said, just put it. At that point, I had to get in touch with my own DG, Yaya Abubakar, at that time. I said, this is the story on ground. He just said, hold on. There's no point breaking any news that might be faulty. So he did his consultations and I just said, okay, go on with the story. He has realized who called. So a situation of this nature, I'm not sure we should be in a haste to break the news that involves people's lives. These are just not ordinary figures. Anything you're counting there, they are mothers, they are fathers, they are uncles, they have loved ones, they have houses, they have wives, they have children. At what point do we begin to break the news that will make them that will unsettle families, but that does not mean that we should not confirm. If you try and you can tarry a while. I mean it seriously. I would not want to break news that that will also break people's hearts just anyhow, more so during insurgency wars like this.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. But now let's move away to politicking and games that are being played by politicians. Now, we see Atiku on Daily Trust. Atiku's men Erifai Al Mustafa in order to meet 8 SDP leaders. Now, we've been seeing lots of moves and talks about 2027. But what's your take on this meeting between Atiku, Erifai, and Al Mustafa meeting SDP leaders? What's your thought on it?
You see, Lillian, is just politics is around the corner. 2027 is around the corner. So usually politicians will align, realign, cajole, they will beg, they will deny. We've seen Erufai denying that he's ever holding any meeting. He's threatening to sue some people that they were parading or selling fake news. Here again, it is persisting. So whatever it is, a time will come. It's all about the electorate. But you can see that APC is calling the bluff, that this is not a block that means anything to them. At the point when APC was doing something of this nature, getting one leg from every other party to form a kind of a coalition, PDP said they were going to rule for 50 years. So They didn't reach the 50 years. Now, APC, having formed a coalition and decided to contest, and they won. At the point, I had one of them, those days, saying they were going to rule for 100 years. Now, within 2 years of Tinubu's administration, if you're already having fractions and factions and people of like minds or people who are not of like minds now coming together, I think APC should not just sweep it under the carpet, because the judgment is that of the electorate to deliver, and time is just 2027. It's for them to do a dance and give Nigerians dividends of democracy, the good roads, the security, agriculture, food security, education, health, everything. Outside that, their report card might be faulty when it comes to 2027.
Mm-hmm. All right. Another interesting story on the front page of the Daily Trust would have to do with the comments by the French President Macron, who obviously has come under attack for saying that Africa forgot to say thank you. I mean, what should we be saying thank you for? Is it for the years of
exploitation?
Yeah. What exactly is your thought on this one?
Why should Africa be thankful to people who invaded them, seized their culture, stopped their languages, stopped their growth, stifled everything, Artifacts? What is still happening with Benin Bronze? Look at Patrice Lumumba. You killed this man and make sure you carried one teeth of his and you kept it in some national archives, and they were going there to pay money to go see Patrice Lumumba's tooth. That's the brutality of a colonial rule. For French president to come and say Africa ought to be thankful that they colonized Africa, I think it is so debased, it is condemnable, and that was why their policies failed. Policy of association, policy of assimilation, they all failed. Look at when the EU came, European Union came, they adopted their own common currency. France joined them, but they are still forcing West African currency, their former colonies in West Africa, to use CFA. You go to Central Africa, and other countries like that, they also have a different kind of CFA, and they are still, their economies, the strength, everything is guaranteed by France, and France will still wake up to tell us this. You can now see Senegal is saying pack and go. Chad, please pack and go. Mali, pack and go. Burkina Faso, pack and go. France, enough is enough. Give independence. You cannot still be dancing around the destruction you did to Africa, and you are telling us to be grateful that you ever colonized us. Of what use was colonialism? Nothing at all. They should be apologizing. They should pay reparation. Abiola stood for this and he died, he never got it. And if this statement would therefore ask for, and go to the UN and say, look, pay Africa for all that you did, then you have to. Today we are still looking for our Benin Bronze, our artifacts. Where is no terracotta head? They all are there. We need these things back home. It's our own civilization that was stolen, and we can't just accept this.
Interesting. And to the Punch newspaper, we have stories of forest allocation for fuel import hitting about $1.25 billion. That's somewhere around 2 trillion naira. How can we explain this huge allocation that seems to have continued in the face of the functionality of Dangote refinery and the resurgence of the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries?
I didn't hear this very well, but if we are to talk about how much is being spent trying to do TAM, alias turnaround maintenance, I think that
let me come in for clarity. The paper is reporting that we allocated $1.25 billion for the importation of fuel. And I was saying that amounts to somewhere around 2.2 trillion naira. Why should we be spending so much on fuel imports when we will be able to meet our local fuel needs with Dangote refinery and possibly Port Harcourt refinery in the free.
And they're even rushing at Kaduna refinery to ensure that it starts work. Now, are we saying that they want to play some games? Sunday, let me tell you, there were times when some government will want to commission boreholes. Because they knew there was no water anywhere, they go and bring tanks, water tanks, they fill the tanks, and when governor comes, His Excellency, they commission it and water gushes out. They just cut and say to the glory of God and disappear. After 2 days, there's no water. Is it that someone is planning to import refined fuel? They put it in the tanks in the refineries. In the end, they say, oh, petrol tankers go and lift up fuel from these refineries and deceive Nigerians that they are working. If not, tell me a place you have said it's working, Warri refinery, Port Harcourt refinery. Now you have Dangote side by side. You are now allocating this amount to import fuel. I think someone should be held accountable. And thank God the media is exposing all of this. Shouldn't the president therefore be asking questions, not just asking someone and say, look, explain to this the rationale behind all of this. The National Assembly, you have the oversight function. You have committees working now at the Senate level, at the House of Reps level. You should be able to scrutinize all of this, and you invite the press. But I hope to, even if you invite the press, we'll not be having the incident of stop the mic, off the mic. Let there be every openness in every deal we have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ben. I'm sorry to say I will have to ask you to stop the mic as well. This is time I ran from my end owing to time. Thank you very much always for finding time to join this program and to provide those invaluable insights.
Well, your own mic is a civil mic, so it's acceptable.
Absolutely so. We will continue to remain civil. All right, that's the much that time will permit us. This is the point where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Daybreak on Trust Television. I am Sunday Michael Ogu. Let's do this again tomorrow.
And I am Lilian Ogazi. Thank you so much for sticking around. At the top of the hour, we'll bring you sports. We also have business and we have news hour. So stick around. We still have a lot packed for you. But before we go, I would say do all to keep yourself informed and, keep yourself informed. Confirm news sources before you put them out, and always get credible newspapers or news agencies to confirm news at all times. My name is Lilian Ogazi. Thank you for watching and bye for now.
Anya.